legislators have kind of notions of charters and what we do. And again, I think a lot of those notions are that we cream or we serve a certain population. And if they came to a school like Cox and saw this is a conversion school, this is, this is the same school that it was however many years ago when it was an OUSD school with some different practices and different people, right? But same kids and same community. I think they would understand why we need just as much funding and support as a traditional public school, because we're trying to accomplish the same end. And we don't necessarily have tons of grants, but we're having the same kind of budget issues as a traditional district is having, except I think we have a little bit more autonomy in how we can allocate our funds and our resources. So funding would be a big one, because as I'm completing my budget, that's something that I'm always conscious of. There are still misconceptions, even at the legislative and funding levels of government, about what charters do, how we do it, who we serve, and how we ourselves are funded. I think that there are funding sources that are not always available to us, because the assumption often is that we have these, we have outside funders, or we have grants, or we're or there's some foundation who's sponsoring us. And so my plea would be that legislators look at us either as individual charters, because some charters do have tons of funding, I understand that, but either as individual charters or just as a division as a whole, and not assume what we have or what we need, but really look into what we have and what we need, because oftentimes we don't have access to the same funding that the traditional public schools have. And so it's a little bit harder for us to do what we do. And that is my opinion based on misconceptions about how we are founded and how we run. When the reality is that my school runs on ADA, average daily attendance, just like all the schools and the traditional public schools that surround me.